So you guys, you can be the most positive person and still have negative assumptions. And guess what's going to win? The negative assumptions will always win, right? Even if you think you're thinking positively. And this is a little bit like what people talk about when they say toxic positivity. It's like you're covering up your negative assumptions with, positivity, right? So you got to watch when you're doing that, right? And I also see toxic positivity as you being like overly positive when, crap's happening, or you don't know what's going on and you're just kind of ignoring your assumptions, or you're not allowing yourself to feel your feelings, right? And those two things are really, really important. Like, you got to have bad days. You got to have, considerably not great moments in order to live life and be like a normal human being, and just like actually to give yourself the love and attention that you need. Sometimes you will need to feel things and sit with things and process emotions and have, allow yourself to be in a bad state, or just not be high vibe or positive all the time, because it's too stressful, right? And I guess I wanted to say, I thought about my mom in this way, right? Was she, in the past growing up, I noticed her being positive and relaxed, right? Because she was sort of like really relaxed about most things, just like chilled out. But she also had negative beliefs, and what would always win were the negative beliefs, right? And we all do this. We all have come from that background, right? I mean, that's where I came from too, right? I was more into law of attraction at first, and I would say that's one of the major differences, right? Where in law of attraction, you are essentially, kind of like band-aiding everything with positivity almost, right? Like, you're just trying to feel happy when, the whole world is crumbling in your face, and you're not changing any of your assumptions. And that's what I did for years when I first got into this. And, my mom was teaching me, we read a lot of like Buddhist books when I was young, and meditation books together and things like that. But I never quite learned that most of my life I was covering the bad beliefs up with this positive vibe, or like just trying to be positive about negative situations. And really, I should have been fixing my internal beliefs. And I had quite a lot of them, okay? And I'm going to start talking about the ones in regards to my SP situation, because I had so many. The reason why I always recreated that relationship, for example, was because I had so many negative beliefs. Like, I would attract him back. I got rid of a third party. I would do all these, amazing things to reset the situation, to rebuild the situation, to fix it. And then another bad belief would come up, and I would have to or I would just get a negative circumstance, and it was something that I needed to look at and work on until I could really solidify my worth, my value, and all of the wrong beliefs that I had in my head about it, and kind of reset myself so that I could actually have a loving, amazing, beautiful, committed partnership, the one that I always dreamed of, right? Or really wanted, I still have, I'm just going to be honest with you, I still have reservations about getting married. I don't know, there's something, I'm still working through all of that, right? Because I've been with people, like I said in other videos, like I've been with people who do always want to get married. And I have the assumption that people always want to marry me, right? Because I've experienced that, right? So I don't have a problem thinking people commit, but I'm the non-committal one, right? Like, I have a problem thinking that I'm going to be good in a relationship, because I just kind of like, I have, if you would categorize me, which we know we don't want to do here, but I would say that I have in the past had an avoidant attachment style, right? If you want to just put a label on it. But of course, I just wanted to say that even when we say avoidant attachment style or whatever attachment style, we still are not getting to the core of the issue. All that an attachment style means is that's how they're categorizing your bad beliefs, right? It's simply and only your bad beliefs that are giving you that sort of attachment style, right? So it's just like a way of categorizing that, but the core of the issue is still your beliefs, right? So anyway, I just wanted to explain that. Okay, I definitely don't have that anymore, and I am working through that. I'm much more easy about telling people my feelings and things like that, but that's literally the reason why I've had to recreate my relationships over and over and over again once I figured out how this actually works, right? That I could actually change my assumptions. So yeah, I would say that's the biggest difference between law of assumption and law of attraction. Law of assumption is actually looking deep within your beliefs and actually recognizing what beliefs are running your life, like really looking and searching within and checking out what's actually going on, not just slapping a band-aid on it, covering up with toxic positivity, or just trying to distract yourself, which distraction has a place, right? Once you set a good belief up, once you know what you really want, once you've got your ideal life organized and set up in your head, and you've you've almost memorized it and imprinted it and things like that, distraction has its place. But I would say that law of attraction was more of a distraction type thing or experience for me, because I was constantly distracting from my bad beliefs, and then I wasn't changing them, right? So my life was literally going in circles. And I'm sure a lot of you had this experience if you were first into law of attraction, right? Where your life was just constantly going in circles. And law of assumption is like the end to that cyclical pattern, right? And at least for me, it was the end to that cyclical pattern. And I've got my parents into it now, where my mom's like actively shifting her beliefs, right? Instead of just sticking to whatever she thought about my dad, right? So their relationship has shifted quite a bit. My dad no longer is toxic. I think he still works through some things because he's got a lot of history, right, with parents that kind of ignored him and things like that, where a lot of his stuff comes from, right? But he really, my dad does Reiki now. He doesn't drink anymore. There's been some major transformations with my parents, and I would say my mom's no longer that sort of more toxic positivity where she's kind of ignoring everything around her, because we had a lot of what you would say negative circumstances growing up. We always had like money problems and all these types of issues. My dad was quite abusive, mentally and sometimes physically even. And my mom would sort of, ignore it in a way, which I believed is it falls into the category of toxic positivity, because my mom would just be like, focusing on positive things while just craziness was going on. So a lot of that has shifted. I just wanted to say that because I know I've brought it up in so many videos but never really addressed it. So I think it's a good thing to really make the comparison between law of assumption and law of attraction, and really, really bring light to what I feel about it, and how I do believe law of attraction can have elements of toxic positivity in it, especially if you're not feeling your feelings, and especially if you're just covering up your true beliefs, right? With just trying to feel good, or trying to be like, oh yeah, it's fine, like it'll be fine, kind of stuff like that, where you're not really getting to the core of the issue. So that's in my mind what I believe toxic positivity is. So this video is just like I kind of just started in with it, but it's kind of like mishmash of things that have come up this week. So another thing I wanted to update you guys on, after just like addressing my mom and dad for a minute, is my experience with robotic affirmations or robotic affirming. I've been doing it pretty regularly. I have had some thoughts about it, some just updates for you guys. I do think that the affirmation you pick, at least for me, is quite important. I still like to have it evoke something within me, and it doesn't have to evoke exactly 100% like a solid belief in it, right? It doesn't have to be like that. It can be just like a faint belief, but I do make sure when I pick my affirmations that they give me a faint sort of feeling or belief or something along those lines. And I think you will know what's right for you, right? And everyone's totally different. Like I could say, even though I'm pretty good at reading people and can bring good and tell people good affirmations for them, it's going to be individual, as just no matter what. You're going to have to think about it yourself and think like, does this resonate with me? Is this an affirmation that makes me feel something? At least in my mind, it should shift you a little, or you should feel something. You don't have to feel 100% in the state, or 100% fixed, everything's fixed, or 100% belief, none of that. But I do think it's hard to explain, but feeling something, right? Just having the inkling that it's giving you some sort of feeling, I think is important, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with I do start to feel something when I'm repeating them over and over and over again. Like, I will admit, it doesn't just feel blank, if I can explain it. It's not just blank, like I just am just tuned out to it. I actually do at some point when they're starting to sink in. Now, this isn't going to happen immediately, at least it didn't for me, but as soon as they're starting to sink in, I will start to feel something. I would start to feel like the truth of it a little bit, right? And it's not like 100% feeling, like I said, and it's not 100% belief, but it is sort of a feeling like this is a possibility, or okay, I'm adjusting to this, or there's an adjustment where you do feel like something's working or something feels different, right? So those are my experiences thus far with robotic affirmation. And again, I'm not that consistent with it, but when I am, I have seen things come to fruition, right? And I've actually heard a lot of stories that people get amazing things happening too. So yeah, I might talk about some of the stories, because I've had a couple clients say that they've got cool things from it, and just some little stories that I've heard along the way. So so the other thing I wanted to say was, I was speaking with someone earlier today, and it came up that sometimes you don't realize you are not in the state, or have not been in the state, until you're actually in the state. So let that sink in. Like, some people think like, oh yeah, I'm in the state, and maybe all they're feeling is some positivity, or they feel good, or they're just in a good mood all day, or something like that, but they're not actually in the state, right? And there is a difference. And a lot of times you will only know that difference when you're actually there. Okay. So I just want to leave you guys with that. And maybe it's food for thought. Like, maybe you're not practicing enough in the morning or whatever. I know I get distracted. So hopefully this is just a reminder video for you to fully practice, like observing yourself, knowing what your beliefs are that you're working on, and changing your state, and making the practice solidified so that you can continue to do it and not kind of get swept up in life, right? Because I know I get swept up in life having an ADD background. Sometimes I get a little swept up, but I try to, refocus and get back onto what I want to create. I think the next video, I'm going to do a success video of like all the stuff maybe other people have created, and stuff that I've created recently that have been just popping in my reality. So that should be a fun one coming up. Okay, if you love this, hope this video helped you. If you love this, thumbs it up. If you love Neville, changing your life, transformation, and law of assumption, and my unique perspective, stick around. I'd love to have you guys. Bye guys, see you next time.